بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم يا أيها الذين آمنوا لا تتخذوا عدوي وعدوكم أولياء تلقون إليهم بالمودة وقد كفروا بما جاءكم من الحق يخرجون الرسول وإياكم أن تؤمنوا بالله ربكم إن كنتم خرجتم جهادا في سبيلي وابتغاء مرضاتي تسرون إليهم بالمودة وأنا أعلم بما أخفيتم وما أعلنتم ومن يفعله منكم فقد ضل سواء السبيل إن يثقفوكم يكونوا لكم أعداء ويبسطوا إليكم أيديهم وألسنتهم بالسوء وودوا لو تكفرون لن تنفعكم أرحامكم ولا أولادكم يوم القيامة يفصل بينكم والله بما تعملون بصير قد كانت لكم أسوة حسنة في إبراهيم والذين معه إذ قالوا لقومهم إنا براء منكم ومما تعبدون من دون الله كفرنا بكم وبدا بيننا وبينكم العداوة والبغضاء أبدا حتى تؤمنوا بالله وحده إلا قول إبراهيم لأبيه لأستغفرن لك وما أملك لك من الله من شيء ربنا عليك توكلنا وإليك أنبنا وإليك المصير ربنا لا تجعلنا فتنة للذين كفروا واغفر لنا ربنا إنك أنت العزيز الحكيم لقد كان لكم فيهم أسوة حسنة لمن كان يرجو الله واليوم الآخر ومن يتول فإن الله هو الغني الحميد عسى الله أن يجعل بينكم وبين الذين عاديتم منهم مودة والله قدير والله غفور رحيم لا ينهاكم الله عن الذين لم يقاتلوكم في الدين ولم يخرجوكم من دياركم أن تبروهم وتقسطوا إليهم إن الله يحب المقسطين إنما ينهاكم الله عن الذين قاتلوكم في الدين وأخرجوكم من دياركم وظاهروا على إخراجكم أن تولوهم ومن يتولهم فأولئك هم الظالمون
الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن سيدنا محمدا عبده ورسوله اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه ومن تبعهم إلى يوم الدين. The theme of Surah Al-Mumtahina actually is the appropriate relationship between the believer and disbeliever, taking into account the different attitudes of the disbeliever towards, the believer. Because not all of the disbelievers are the same. There is some disbelievers who harbor, no ill and cause no harm to the believers. And there is others who openly declare their enmity and commit act of aggression against them. There is a related story, to this surah, but, it is just to demonstrate an application of the surah, because sometimes people say it is the reason for revelation. There is no reason for revelation. There is an occasion of the revelation. So when you get, some event happen and the surah comes, it gives you the example so you can realize it. So there is a story about one of companion of the Prophet ﷺ, his name Hatim ibn Abi Balta'a, and he did something which, the surah actually can demonstrate how can even a righteous person can betray a believers because he has good relationship with the disbeliever who declare enmity against the believers. So that was the content of context. And I'm not going to discuss it because of the time, but in the text, you'll see the story mentioned. So regarding to those people, the surah starts with discussing those people who declare enmity against the believer and declare, hostility against them. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, basically in this, he says, you should not show them affection, regardless of your personal relationship with them, even if they are personal families. If they show hostilities against the believer, then there is no relation, there is no affection, there is no love between you and them. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, يا أيها الذين آمنوا لا تتخذوا عدوي وعدوكم أولياء تلقون إليهم بالمودة وقد كفروا بما جاءكم. O you who believe, do not take my enemy and your enemy as allies. You know, extending affection to them while they have rejected the truth that has come to you. They have expelled, and Allah described what is wrong with what they have done. It's not just the enmity just by thinking, no, by action, actually. They have expelled the messenger and yourself simply because you believe in Allah, your Lord. If you have long fought to strive in my cause, seeking my pleasure, will you secretly show them affection? Because that's what, Hatim have done. He show affection to them, although they have done all of the negative things and all of the hostility against the Prophet ﷺ. You know, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, I know all that you conceal and all that you reveal, and whoever does this has surely strayed from the straight path. If they will encounter you, because that demonstration what those people will do, this disbeliever, they would act as enemies, stretching forth their hands and tongues harm you. They desire that you disbelieve. Now here is the issue. Your kinship ties and your children will be of no benefit to you in the day of resurrection. Allah will judge between you, and Allah sees all of what you do. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, as far as these enemies, no relationship, even if they are your children, because they will have no benefit for you in the day of judgment. On the other hand, and this is the balance of the religion, it is not you just don't to brush all of the disbelievers are the same. There is different people. There is a belief related to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah judged, but there is a relationship between us. So as long as they don't show enmity, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala say, لا ينهاكم الله عن الذين لم يقاتلكم في الدين ولم يخرجكم من دياركم أن تبروهم وتقسطوا إليهم إن الله يحب المقسطين. Then Allah repeat the order, إنما ينهاكم عن الذين قاتلوكم في الدين. Allah does not forbid you from dealing kindly, and I made the word تبروهم, just will come to it, kindly and justly with those who have not fought against you because of your religion, nor driven you out of your homes. Indeed, Allah loves those who act justly. Allah only forbids you from taking as allies those who have fought against you on account of your religion, expelled you from your homes, and aided in your expulsion. And whoever takes them as allies is indeed a wrongdoer. I want to look at these. There's two verses here. And this surah is a short surah. And look frankly at the situation of our Muslims today. It does not require a genius to recognize that we're clearly violating the commands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala here. As far as those people like your neighbor, your colleagues, and so on, they don't declare any enmity against you. You treat them with this birr and qist. The reason I underlined the word birr, because this is the type of relationship that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala expects from us toward our parents. And that's why we always say birrul walidain. That means it's love and kind treatment, affection, and so on. So there is nothing wrong with this as far as the people who do not, the disbelievers, as long as they don't. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allowed Muslim to marry from them. How can you marry from some, family that were non-Muslims, this Christian or Jews, and you said you don't have affection and love to them? So, and then, so this one emphasizes this kinds, and be peaceful towards them too. And who knows, this relation may do it. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala come and give us in this surah an example of Prophet Ibrahim. And Prophet Ibrahim, and with him, and we know the relationship because of Prophet Ibrahim, even against his own father, stood against his own father. And then, so the approach with Sayyidina, with Prophet Ibrahim was really clear as a role model for us in this case. And then Allah subhanahu قد كان لكم أسوة حسنة في إبراهيم والذين معه إذ قالوا لقومهم إنا براء منكم ومما تعبدون من دون الله. That there was a good example for Prophet Ibrahim and his companion when they said to their people, we disown you and what you worship besides Allah. Then, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, it shows there is then, we renounce you, they basically declared there until you believe in Allah alone, and the enmity and the hatred has been sowed between us will endure. So anyway, except to Sayyidina Ibrahim, Allah gave this exception. He said, except that Sayyidina Ibrahim he said to his father, لَأَسْتَغْفِرَنَّ لَكَ, and then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he said that Ibrahim told his father, I'm going to ask forgiveness for you. And this is something Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, actually prohibited as it comes here. So it comes in, he said it before he knew he cannot ask istighfar for them. And this is a subtlety issue. Can you ask for somebody who died as a non-Muslim, ask for forgiveness or ask for mercy? The prohibition, you cannot ask for forgiveness because Allah will not forgive. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, whoever, I can forgive everything except, that you associate other with me. So if in that case, asking for something is not going to happen will be foolish. But you can still ask for mercy. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is Rahim, and then the Rahmah, it's up to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in that case. But if you're expecting that because of your dua, the person, Allah will move him from hell to paradise, that's not going to happen, And even is really interesting, actually, if you look to these ayat regarding the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Allah subhanahu, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told the Prophet, even if you ask forgiveness for them 70 times, I'm not going to forgive them. And the Prophet ﷺ said, if I know that Allah will, if I ask more than 70 times, Allah will forgive, I will ask them for forgiveness. I will ask forgiveness for them. So that showed me, the heart of the Prophet ﷺ, in this regard. Even the story, of Hatim ibn Balta'a is very fascinating also because how is the mercy of the Prophet ﷺ as compared to the mercy of others, against the person who made a big mistake. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave us this, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also says in this ayah that I made and read, رَبَّنَا لَا تَجْعَلْنَا فِتْنَةً لِلَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا وَاغْفِرْ لَنَا رَبَّنَا إِنَّكَ أَنْتَ الْعَزِيزُ الْحَكِيمُ. Oh Allah, do not make us a temptation for the disbelievers. So the question is, are we temptation to the disbelievers these days? Are Muslim temptation to the disbelievers? So I try to make a picture actually to simulate this. So what I did, I said, if you consider Islam as a house of treasures, but outside it, you throw trash, people will walk by it and nobody will go in to see the treasures. So Muslims are the one who actually prohibit people from entering into Islam, frankly, with the way we are. If we behave immorally, that will not invite, nobody wants to follow a religion of an immoral person. If you are not trustworthy, no one wants to follow. We learn about the religion that drive that person to be untrustworthy. If we are backward and ignorant, if we are subservient to other and weak, who wants to follow, a principle and rules that govern a weak person? You want to follow a principle and rule that cover a leader, not a subservient. And this is what we have. So in reality, this, verse that Allah لا تجعلنا فتنة الذين كفروا, frankly, I think we are fitna to those people. That many of them will not enter Islam because of who we are, Now, and this is why you find out like what the war in Gaza and the people, how these people stand and all of what they have and still standing. People said, what type of religion can teach people this? So when people see something out of ordinary driven by the faith, then they want to know about that faith. But if they see a person who is cheat, lies, and so on, and go to the masjid and say, what type of religion is it? You know, that there's contradictions in. So that's a very interesting one. Then the surah, Al-Mumtahina, to be tested, yani. There was one term in the Treaty of Hudaybiyah which has some ambiguity in it. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala came to verify it in this surah. This ambiguity, it came in, and you all know about the Treaty of Hudaybiyah. And one of the terms of it, that the Prophet ﷺ agreed, if one if one didn't come to Prophet Muhammad from Quraysh to Medina, from Mecca to Medina, to become join them as a believer, the Prophet ﷺ have to return him back to people from Mecca. And if one person from, what people, the companion, were objecting to this, because if one person from Medina wants to leave Islam and go join the people from Mecca, then they do not return him back. So the Prophet ﷺ agreed to that term, and you know the history of the whole thing. But there was one issue then. Well, it doesn't say a man or a woman. It didn't specify the gender. For a person who will come, are the men and the woman will be treated the same. If a woman wants to believe and escape from Mecca to Medina, to remain with the Muslim, don't wait with the disbeliever in Quraysh from Mecca, would the Prophet return her back? The treatment was the agreement or the ruling of the treaty was not clear. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala directly revealed this. He said, no, as far as the woman is concerned, you cannot return them back. And this is the ayah. يا أيها الذين آمنوا إن جاءكم المؤمنات مهاجرات, if the believing women came to you as immigrant from them without the permission of their guardianship or her husband or whatever, then subhanallah, if you look at accepted them, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says first, فَامْتَحِنُوهُنْ, test them first. Ensure that they are coming seriously because of belief or want to just escape from their husband or because of something else, because they love somebody else or want to divorce him. He said, no, test them first. If you find them, فامتحنوهن الله أعلم بإيمان فإن علمتهن مؤمنات فلا ترجعوهن إلى الكفار. And then if you test them, and Allah knows their face, but you as human being, you don't know, then ask them, be sure that they believe, and do not, if they convince that they are the believer, then don't send them back. Now the verse actually continues something. It says, they said that they are not allowed, the believing woman are not allowed to stay with a non-believing man. But how about all of the money that the person, the disbeliever, paid for that woman as a dowry, as gifts, and other things? What are you going to do? Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, pay them back. Whatever amount of money they have given, وَآتُوهُمْ مَا أَنْفَقُوا, whatever that man, spend on his wife that she changed it to become a Muslim, and they came to Medina, pay him back all of the money he spent on her. Subhanallah, details of the ruling is really fascinating. It's just say keep them, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala say, okay, but don't do injustice to the other person in this case. And then, but how about if a rule, okay, if it's a Muslim, a person who is married to a Muslim and wants to go back to Mecca and leave him, who is going to compensate him in that case? Because obviously the people from Mecca will not compensate. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, when you get money, then pay that Muslim too. So the verses come here. They said that when the Prophet ﷺ these women used to come, he used to ask them basically, do you testify that there is no God but Allah and Muhammad is his messenger? If she said yes, it's fine. Do you swear that you have come solely out of love of Islam and Allah and his messenger, and not because you have a dispute with your husband or a desire to leave him? And if she said affirm of these two questions, that's it. Because you can only assume that the person is truthful in this regard. Then the surah comes in with another verse. When you get if a woman, there is a, what do you call it, the bay'ah, the pledge of allegiance. You know the term bay'ah, you know what it is. Unfortunately, it's actually, that term is being abused now because like people who are in the Sufi sect, you know, you join a group, you have to give bay'ah, you know, allegiance to the sheikh, you know, or the imam. There is nothing. The bay'ah is supposed to be for a leader, a ruler, you know, that judge and make rules and so on, not for anybody. I don't give you a bay'ah, you don't give me a bay'ah. You know, we are friends, you know, or a teacher and the student. There is no bay'ah in this. But when they come in, the believing, the Prophet ﷺ used to take the bay'ah from the women. He used to what? Do the bay'ah for what? So he said, يا أيها النبي إذا جاءك المؤمنات يبايعنك على ألا يشركن بالله. What is the pledge on that? They do not ascribe any partner to Allah. ولا يسرق, and do not steal. ولا يزنين, and do not commit adultery. ولا يأتين ببهتان يفترين بأيديهم وأرجلهن, and do not kill their children, nor about, you know, who have fathered their children, nor lie about the father of children. Don't kill the children, and don't lie about who is the father of the children. Here is the one, ولا يعصينك في معروف, and nor disobey you in any righteous order or righteous things. You know, why I made this, you know, red, put it in red, then accepted their pledge. Because, you know, obviously the Prophet ﷺ, there is no way he is going to order them for anything other than righteous things. But why Allah make this as a part of it? So we can Muslim have to be, you know, if Allah subhanahu, the Prophet ﷺ, based on the command of Allah, have to ask him, don't obey me only in what is righteous. How about if somebody else give you a command? You know, shouldn't you have to think about it? Is it righteous or not righteous before you follow it? You know, and that directly, you know, it gives this Muslim that Muslim have to be critical in assessing the commands, not because your leader or your sheikh or your mullah tell you go do this, you go do it. You know, you have to follow it if it was righteous, that you believe it is righteous, because you will be held responsible for it. So if our Prophet ﷺ will ask them to follow me only in what is righteous, how come you guys follow everybody blindly in that regard? And then the surah ends actually with reinforcing, you know, the beginning of it. The beginning of it, يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتخذوا عدو وعدوكم أولياء. O you who believe, do not take my enemy and your enemy as allies. The surah ends, يا أيها الذين آمنوا لا تتولوا قبل. Almost the same thing. O you who believe, don't take allies as people who have incurred the wrath of Allah, who obviously غضب الله عليهم قد يأسوا من الآخرة كما يأس الكفار من أصحاب القبور. That, you know, don't, they are despaired. Those people who incur the rest, they are despaired from the hereafter, just as the believer have despaired of those who buried in graves. That means as the people buried in grave cannot get up, those people also from that they will not basically get in the day of judgment. They don't go in paradise in the day of judgment. So the surah ends with this one. But as I said, you know, the surah is, it controlled this relationship between the believer and disbelievers. And then it highlighted all of the relationship, correct something about this Bay'at al-Ridwan. اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه. اللهم اهدنا فيمن هديت وعافنا فيمن عافيت وتولنا فيمن توليت وبارك اللهم لنا فيما أعطيت وقنا واصرف عنا شر ما قضيت فإنك يا ربنا تقضي بالحق ولا يقضى عليك. اللهم ادخلنا برحمتك في عبادك الصالحين. اللهم اخرجنا من ظلمات الجهل والوهم إلى نور العلم. اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما. اللهم اجعلنا ممن يستمعون القول فيتبعون أحسنه. اللهم أوزعنا أن نشكر نعمتك التي أنعمت علينا وعلى والدينا وأن نعمل صالحا ترضاه. اللهم اصلح لنا في ذريتنا إنا تبنا إليك وإننا من المسلمين. Oh Allah, spread your mercy upon us, shower us with your blessings, increase our knowledge, grant us forgiveness, and reward us with the company of the prophets in the Firdaus al-A'la. Oh Allah, forgive our parents and all our friends and relatives who have passed away. Oh Allah, make their graves a garden from heaven and grant them the Firdaus al-A'la. Oh Allah, we have many of our friends and relatives who are sick. We have our son Ma'raj, our daughter Aishawani, our brother Akram, and several other. Oh Allah, grant to all of them full and speedy recovery. Oh Allah, we know that there is no cure but yours. Oh Allah, grant them a cure that leaves no ailment or injury. Oh Allah, guide our children, protect them, and make them righteous. Oh Allah, grant us the power and the ability that we may be grateful for the favor you have bestowed upon us and our parents, and we may do righteous deeds that are pleasing to you. Oh Allah, we seek from you all of the good, whether we know it or we don't. And we seek your refuge from all evil, whether we know it or we don't. Oh Allah, we seek your refuge from incapacity, from laziness, from fear, from greed, from poverty, and from the torment of the grave. Oh Allah, we ask with every name you have elected for yourself in this blessed hour, that none of us leave this gathering, but his pains have been relieved, his worries have been removed, his debts have been paid, his weaknesses have been concealed, his sins have been forgiven, and his needs have been fulfilled. سبحان الله وبحمده عدد خلقه ورضا نفسه وزنة عرشه ومداد كلماته. سبحان الله وبحمده عدد خلقه ورضا نفسه وزنة عرشه ومداد كلماته. سبحان الله وبحمده عدد خلقه ورضا نفسه وزنة عرشه ومداد كلماته. والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر. وآخر دعوانا أن الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على خير المرسلين. اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.